question. Okay.
Round table.
Hey everyone, we are Victoria Lies. My name is Rory Fitzsimmons. I play lead guitar.
My name is Chris Kohler, and I play rhythm guitar.
My name is James Concannon, and I play drums.
Did you forget what you do, Brett?
I think he's still getting Aaron to.
I was yelling at my Google. I'm Brett Hetherington. I scream a lot.
He's our screamer.
So what is the meaning behind the band name, Brett?
The idea of Victoria Lies is we are following I don't want to say the misadventures, but we are following the perspective of a woman named Victoria who has had a rough past and is seeking revenge. And these songs, some of our songs, are based directly on this scenario.
So I just had a thought, like what I was kind of gonna say is that I don't know if we want to talk about like how we kind of came to the conclusion of that name, but some of the ideas I had was it took us a little while to settle on a name because we didn't want something to force us inside of a box and allow us more creative control, could establish lore and build out theatrical performance with concepts behind the music, and that was clean, legible, and not in your face metal appearance for the logo.
Yeah, totally. And I think our logo, is just how you described it, right? Super clean and quite visually striking. Yeah.
And
I think that's great, Chris.
Kind of that concoction of that name allowed us to build stuff around it. So it's not like yeah. All right.
Can you tell us a little bit about Trial by Fire? Well,
so this song specifically is not about Victoria. This was one of our earlier songs that we were writing, and this is more based off of just our opinions towards gun violence. It was a hot topic at the time. We really wanted to throw it into song form, so we came up with Trial by Fire.
Can I add a little bit to that? Because one thing I wanted to mention, Brett, was how initially it started from a writing session. It was an old riff that Jay brought to us. I don't know if he wrote on guitar or on bass, but he showed up at the writing session, played that riff. It kind of sparked an interest, and then we started kind of building out the song structure around that. And then I remember we were at practice going over the song, and Brett, you came to us with the first verse in the first verse in the song, which was "Who brings a fucking gun to a wedding?" And then you said, "Oh, this is about an article that I read about a shooting that happened at a wedding in somewhere in Canada. I can't remember if it was Toronto or Ontario or something."
Right. It was the gun violence kind of spurred the idea, and that particular story is what started the song, essentially. I wanted to find something that was close to home. I'd heard about that a while back, and I decided to research more about it and throw it into the song.
Yeah, I'm like the worst person for recognizing lyrics. All I ever hear is melody. But when we get into the nitty gritty, when we go to record these things, and you actually find out what the fuck Brett's been saying for, singing about all this time, and you're like, Jesus Christ, Brett! This is so dark. What's
so heavy.
There's some lines where is it? The bridge. No, even the verse.
We were recording with
second
Scott.
Verse is the second verse is horribly, horribly dark.
It's my MO.
Yeah.
Well, and we all heard that too. We all kind of collectively heard that when we were recording it with Scott, and he's like, "Holy shit!" And then that's when I knew it too. I didn't even really know. Well, I guess I did because I was working on the lyric video already, but
yeah, I guess
glance by that.
Totally. I guess while we've kind of touched on the lyrics for the single and how horribly depressing yet real they are.
cry and bob our heads at the same time.
Yeah, totally. So tell us a bit about the single cover art, Chris. Like you did a phenomenal job with it, and I love the concept of it. And also, Chris, talk about like kind of how what you did for the lyric video as well, like how
Yeah,
the art
so
ties into that.
kind of the cover art came from the lyric video because initially when you came to me and you're like, hey, we should make a lyric video for this, that's where my mind went. Was I wanted to, because I've done a couple lyric videos for our previous project there from the Flame, and I wanted to. Since then, I gained a lot more experience in working with After Effects and working with motion graphics, and so I wanted to really push that and have fun with the kinetic text. So have the text kind of move around a lot and not be in one location on the screen. So my focus was on that. I really wanted to play and have fun with that and for it to be kind of interesting for the viewer. And then the artwork kind of came secondary. So the budget was there. I mean, we didn't have a budget. I mean, we're all just doing this for sweat labor, but we didn't have a budget to like reach out to an artist and get them to design work and stuff for us. So the idea was to kind of create some abstract ideas with using Midjourney, with using AI, but just like on a really small scale. And to and so some of the images that I created worked, and some were a little like we didn't really want it to be too on the nose about what the subject was. We kind of want the viewer to figure that out or build that out as the lyric video progresses. And so the first initial image generation that we got, there was a bride, and there was lots of like red fabric and roses on the ground, and there was some like blood and stuff like that. But it also, when I played with it in Photoshop and adjusted some of the filters, I was able to kind of tone that down a little bit, and it almost looked like, I showed it to my wife and she said it looked like a fall scene,
Yeah.
almost like part of the bride looked like a tree. And so it was kind of cool where I could try and play with that and almost make it like a fall scene first, so you don't really know what the subject is necessarily. And then from that, really what we did is we picked kind of like our favorite image from that background with the text, and built out the kind of the cover art from there. And I guess I could talk a little bit like about my opinion with AI and stuff. And when we do have the budget, like we do prefer to bring an actual either a graphic designer or an illustrator, an artist into the mix, because we don't want to, just type in a bunch of words and have AI punch something out. We do
Yeah.
want to put a lot of thought into that and are respectful of where that information, was trained from. So that's kind of the whole point there. It was like I said, we started with the lyric video in mind, and then the images kind of came out of that.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
and I love how you did that. Like the final shot of that lyric video, how it just, I think you see it for maybe 2 seconds tops.
Yeah.
When the camera zooms out and you actually see, the bride. Like it's really, really cool. I really do love that.
Yeah, I was really happy with the way that turned out, and that was kind of it. Like it was kind of like you take a large image, and then you're going to have the camera pan into small little sections, and create a lot of interest, and added lots of effects where the screen would shake and stuff like that, just to complement the screaming or the intensity of those parts in the song.
That's great. So let's hear from Jimmy. What do you do for your livelihood outside of music?
Like to spend a lot of time outside. Most of my time is spent on music, listening to it, learning it, playing different instruments. But outside of that, I like doing a lot of stuff outdoors, camping, RVing, dirt biking, that kind of thing. But yeah,
I think you might have misheard the question there, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's cool. It's nice to know that. But
what do you do for work?
Oh, for work. My mistake. I'm an
livelihood. Yes.
I'm an electrician, so yeah. Gotta love it.
All
And
sparky like Rory.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I'll jump in here. And yes, I run my own electrical company. Have not yet hired Mr. Kincannon services, but hopefully in the future we will. Chris, what do you do?
I worked, so I went to school for graphic design and illustration, animation, and worked as a e-learning content designer for 11 years, and I've recently switched to another company, but I'm still in e-learning, and I work as a instructional designer.
Fancy.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah,
Sounds
I work in
fancy.
the tech industry as well. I'm an advanced sales rep, so I just deal with things like networking, security systems, stuff like that. Selling it to big companies across BC specifically, but I'll be doing national here coming up. Yeah, it's boring.
Nice.
I want
Yeah.
to do music.
Nerds and the fucking computers.
But with your salesperson personality, you can sell us on pretty much any ideas that you have very nicely.
Yeah, that's quite advantageous for you.
Yeah, it's golden ton, right?
You
Silver
could, you
ton.
could, yeah, you could
Yeah.
sell shampoo to a monk.
Or catch a popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's
Anyone catch that
go
reference?
back to Jimmy here. When did you first discover your interest in metal music?
Metal music specifically, I've only been super into the genre for a few years now, but rock and like punk music has always been a part of my life. It just took me a while to get into the deeper parts of the genre, but it's always been I like rock music has always been a major inspiration in my life, especially when it comes to playing. So, yeah.
Awesome. Chris, what about you?
It was about high school that I started picking up guitar. Like I used to skateboard. Wasn't really like a big, like I kind of just listened to what was popular as far as music goes. But then my skateboarding buddies that I hung out with were more into like Disturbed and Korn, and kind of started getting influences from them. Some of them started picking up guitar, so I learned a riff or two. And then eventually, after just wasting all my income on skateboards that I kept breaking, I eventually stole my younger brother's guitar and started teaching myself based on tabs online. And eventually, I got a shitty guitar from, I think it was Long and McQuaid, a Jay Tercer for like $75. And yeah, just as I started playing guitar more, I started getting interested in solos, and uh, like when I used to skateboard, I wanted to learn all the tricks, and so I kind of took the same thing approach with guitar, where the music didn't really come first. It was more sort of the technicality and learning hammer-on pull-offs, much like a kickflip or a heel flip, um, and then that kind of gravitated me towards metal because the more kind of challenging technicality was coming up from that genre, and so that's where I kind of fell in love with it, and then it progressed from there to listening to good melodies and the lyrical components of it, and the aggression. Yeah, that's it.
Very nice. Brett, are you on a swing, Chris?
Yeah, a little. Sorry, that was distracting.
Back.
I was just in the backyard. Yeah, just on a little dark in the basement, and people are hanging out upstairs. So
I've been a huge punker for a long time, since high school. I've loved heavier music, but what really got me into metal first was actually System of a Down. Was the first metal I was listening to, and I really liked the the spectrum of sounds that came out of System of a Down. I started bleeding into other metal bands, Disturbed, the older ones, but I never really found what I liked in other bands that I did in System of a Down, where they had the really heavy moments, the really light moments. There was a lot of emotion. There was a lot of colorful aspects to their music, and that's kind of the direction I wanted to go down when I started listening to metal. I want to find more metal like this. I want to find like that encompasses a lot of different sounds versus one idea. So ever since then, I've been just listening. I'm very picky. Like you guys will show me metal, and I'll be like, bleh. But then I'll hear one song and I'll be like, oh, that has what I like in it. That has that spectrum that I'm looking for. So
Oh, totally. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you.
Hmm.
I'm pretty similar in that respect. I kind of, I was pretty resistant to metal when I was younger because I didn't really understand it. I was more into my like classic rock and like that was, Slash is the greatest guitar player on earth kind of crap.
Yeah.
And now, well,
Yeah.
as all of you know me, like I am the polar opposite of that now, and I can't stand listening to any of that stuff. But it was, and I don't think I've ever told you guys this, and it's kind of embarrassing, especially given my stance on most bands like this. But it was the Metallica S&M album, the first one, all those years ago, and I think it was because I really loved the orchestra being behind it, so it kind of took that hard edge off of metal, right? Um,
Mm.
and I watched the show first, and then got the download of it later. But it's like watching it was so visually striking, right? When they come out to Call of Cthulhu and like no, they come out to Ecstasy of Gold, right there. What is that, From the Good, Bad, and the Ugly? And the whole orchestra
Oh
thing,
yeah.
and it's fantastic. And it was like kind of from there that I got into that, and then I know these bands don't really make sense, especially after hearing Metallica, but it's like kind of went into Korn and then Incubus, like, so I went like heavy, and then I kind of came out and went lighter, and then, you just keep going down. And then when bands like Animals as Leaders came out, that's really where I got sucked in and I couldn't get out. So,
Ooh.
Chris, what
Yes.
obstacles have you faced as a musician? Ugh, I said that shit. What obstacles have you faced as a musician, and how have you been able to overcome them?
One that comes to mind right off the bat is equipment. The expense of having to buy like a giant stack amp and then having the head for it, and purchasing valves and all that kind of stuff. Thankfully, I didn't really have to do that. I think when I joined you guys' band, I borrowed an amp for a little bit there,
Mm.
and also because of that, it's sometimes when we played gigs, the option was to borrow somebody else's equipment that was on stage. And when you're doing that, you can't nail in your sound. So sound for me was always an issue right off the bat. But thankfully, we live in the wonderful technological age where you can purchase a Line 6 pedal board or a Axe Effect. Well, that's a little more pricey, but there's lots of varieties of amp modelers now available. And to overcome all of that kind of expense and having all that kind of stuff that you have to bring around, both Rory and I decided and early on to switch to the pedal board amp modeling route and bringing a little what's it called, FR PA speaker that lets us play
Yeah, the
directly to
Head
that,
Rush
which
FR, yeah.
yeah, full range, full response, that's what it is. And so yeah, that ability then allowed us to craft our tone, craft our sound, and not have to carry all this crap around with us and have a big band van and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally, man. Like having those having those modelers. I just remember like lifting in the
Just
fucking stacks, like down
yep.
a flight of stairs that has like, a 45-degree pitch. Like you feel like you're gonna die every time you're trying to go downstairs with these damn things. And then
Oh yeah.
you get the amp modeler and quad cortex, and you throw it over your shoulder and walk in with your guitar, and it's fucking brilliant. But I think
Yep.
for me, the biggest difficulty I faced as a musician was finding like-minded musicians, like combing through the swamp of shit, like the bad attitudes, the laziness, and like finally coming out the other side of that with a bunch of other dudes that like are like-minded and want to pursue it. Like that I feel was my biggest challenge, and I feel quite happy that we've finally overcome that. It feels like I've been battling that for my entire life.
Yeah, and it's a lot like group work in school and stuff where you just have absolute crap, like people that want to do the bare minimum, but they're they have to take this course, but for some reason they want to be in a band and they want to get all the accolades, but they don't want to do anything for it.
Yeah.
Or
What
you
about you?
run into somebody who has too much to do and they've got 5 different projects and they're like, this is just one of my many projects.
Totally, man.
Yeah, I don't understand how people can juggle multiple projects at a time. I just really don't. It's wild.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, it's fine if you're like, you're making money doing it for a bunch of different bands, but if your goal is to write music and create your own stuff and get it out there, you really have to concentrate on that. You have to focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do. Personally, I can't speak to everybody, but that's my strategy.
Absolutely. So, Brett, what have your struggles been as a musician?
For me, I have to mirror what you say when it comes to just getting, 5 like-minded individuals in the same room at the same time, getting around vacations, getting around, family issues, getting around everything, and just still trying to find the time. For me, it's just time management as well, being, a father, and I have a lot of stuff, full-time job that's keeping me going. I have to juggle everything evenly and make sure that I'm not neglecting one thing. So I think that's my biggest challenge. I do look forward to hopefully someday this being my career versus having to do 2 things at the same time.
Absolutely. And Jimmy, what about you, mate?
I think just because I'm the newest member of the band, my biggest struggle so far has been catching up with you guys. There's just a lot that I need to do and learn before we can really get the ball moving. So I think just managing my time and spreading it out enough so I'm doing, the proper things at the right time instead of just trying to do everything at once and, nothing gets done perfectly. But other than that, it's, being a drummer, money's always kind of an issue. Every piece of the equipment's expensive, but, it's
Totally.
it's a work in progress for sure. And as time goes on, it can only get better, right? So,
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you've already come on leaps and bounds from the first day we met you. So I'm not worried about you overcoming that challenge.
No.
Is there a specific non-metal genre or artist you would love to collaborate with Brett?
Yeah. Immediately coming to mind is I listen to this, I want to call her a pop artist, but he's very artistic and does a bunch of different stuff, is Aurora. She got the most beautiful voice, and it would be an honor to do some kind of duet or share a track with her. That would be the pinnacle. I would be really, really jazzed about that. So
Is she reachable?
I just recently saw that she did a collab with Bring Me the Horizon,
Oh, so
Oh,
she's kind of up
shit.
there, yeah.
and I was like, oh no,
Your idea ruined.
yeah,
Dude, you showed her
But,
to us
you know,
before, right? You said that she
Yeah,
had
I
like
have.
really excellent harmonies and was doing like
her voice
folky
is
kind of stuff. And
but
Nice.
I feel like her voice would really, it could add a really haunting side to a metal track. So it would be really interesting to hear and work with her because she seems pretty cool.
What about you, Chris?
Man, I give that a little bit of thought. Come back to me on that one. I'll
All
let
right.
you.
Well, I don't think mine's going to be much of a surprise to anyone, but I'd love to do a collab with Taylor Swift. Oh,
Oh, Jesus
That
Christ!
would
You're
be-
not shooting far at all there.
mate. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Wish upon a star, man.
Well,
Dude, because she is such. I mean, this is probably going to sewer the interview now, but she's just so imaginative with how she approaches music. And I know, she's just a pop artist singing about 3 particular topics usually, but fuck, the different elements in her songs, and she takes different styles and makes them her own. It's really fucking cool. And I'd be curious to see, what she could do with one of our songs. What holes she could see that we have left open, and she would patch over them or whatever, right? And throw her 2 cents in.
make it gigantic.
Yeah. I mean, Chris, what have you got? Your time is up, buddy.
Fuck. I don't know. I'm still trying to think, honestly.
Busy thinking of this.
Michael Arkefeld from Opeth, because he's my goddamn hero. I don't know. I don't really yeah, like it's hard to not pick like a female artist because I think that like that dynamic, that contrast would just be so cool
Yeah.
to hear in our music. So, um, you know, trying to think of maybe a Taylor Momsen, or
Ooh.
that'd be a pretty wild one.
Yeah, man.
It's not connecting.
So
Can I hit your babe?
how do you perceive the evolution of metal music over the years? Ooh, that could be a whole podcast episode.
I mean, I haven't been a huge metalhead, but from what I have heard, things have either gotten heavier or they've integrated new things into metal that you wouldn't have heard back in the days. Like pop, you hear a lot of pop in metal now. It's becoming the new thing. And that was never a thing back in the day. I don't remember any like the way the new artists are singing and the whole sounds that they're coming up with. It's
Yeah.
very, very new and different. That or it's super heavy. Like there's heavier music now than there was back in the day for sure. Yeah, and that's just kind of how I've seen it go.
I definitely agree with you there, Brad. Like, I love the bands that have taken the risk on adding these, you know, electronic beats or pop elements to their writing, because it just makes for more interesting music, right? You just
Well,
adding,
you're not hearing the same thing you heard 10 years ago.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is something
Like,
brand
leave-
new.
we'll leave Metallica to do that and repeating the same fucking thing.
Oh
Yeah, I
man,
think-
I'm just like, why don't you guys do something with like backup vocals or something? Like, well, after watching them there the other day, I was just like, there's nothing new. It's just like the whole new album. It sounds all the same. I'll go over to Sarah. I'm like, oh, I think I know this track. This is like one of the 2 songs I heard off the new album. Nope, completely different song, and it goes on forever. And there's nothing new or interesting. There's no keys. There's no synth. There's no, God forbid, a female vocalist or some kind of back. Like even Hetfield. Like, why do you have to sing in the same tone all the fucking time?
Well, and I like this too because I think like this new style of metal, it's bringing more ears into the genre of metal.
absolutely, yeah, it's just growing it.
Are now listening to it because it's different. It's got elements of things that they're familiar with, and Metallica, all these old bands. I mean, it's great if you want to listen to Metallica, you listen to Metallica, but you don't expect anything new.
No,
Well,
and that
and
was
the
like
crowd
the Tool album
reaction
that
too
came
is
out.
kind of like, play something that we know, you know, because this isn't really getting us excited or interested. Like, you play the stuff that you did before because it's awesome, it's got nostalgia behind it, but in like the new stuff is just, it's so just dry and stagnant, and it's like you prompted AI to write a Metallica song that's got
Yeah,
like it really is. It's just like, okay, we'll
Yeah.
just continue to chug along on E, and you know, nothing
Yeah.
for interesting riffs, or again, like use some chords or something. Like, I just don't.
yeah. Okay, so that concludes the main segment of the interview. Now we're just going to move on to a rapid fire section just for fun. So Chris, I'm not going to ask you because you already touched on this, but Brett, your thoughts on AI generated cover art?
I don't like using it as the final object, but I think that AI is great for coming up with concepts.
I definitely echo what you said just there, and I actually am with Chris as well on that. Like, it's good to get the ideas rolling, but if you are on, like, you know, a zero budget, as most musicians and bands are, regrettably, like, this is kind of the era that we're living in. But I am definitely insistent on it. If we do have the concept that we want, it just like take it to an artist to like, here, can you humanize this?
Having some human
Put your
hands touch
spin
it
on
too.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
why,
one thing,
why try to write it down and try to explain it to an artist when you could just show them your idea?
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
here, take this and you do your thing. You go nuts with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Make it yours, make it different, and because we want to make sure that we're still supporting the people who make this art. I don't like the idea of just any Joe being able to type in what they want and then post it and then sell it. It doesn't make sense to me. People should be earning from that.
Yes.
So
Yeah. And I think
Good.
like just one more thing I wanted to put on is like the question is AI cover art. So if it's cover art, it's maybe, like I would imagine that's the cover of your album. I think if you're going through all this process of creating music and then you should finalize your album with
Yes.
a human artist. And I think if you have budget to put all the music together, that could be something that you do prioritize a little bit more. Now, if it's building out a lyric video and you've got some abstract imagery that you want, or you want to create some visuals for your show, I think that's okay, but I think as much as possible try and have human hands involved.
Absolutely. Rapid fire, Chris. Remember, rapid fire round this is.
Fuck.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, you can cut it.
Jimmy, what are your thoughts and feelings on AI generated art? Rapid fire.
Don't like it. Don't like it. I much more will appreciate the artistry from an actual artist rather than some information that was typed in and randomly generated. Yeah, I think there needs to be more appreciation towards real artists and less towards AI for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. First album that you bought with your own money, Chris.
I think it was Blink-182. What was it called again?
Rapid fire.
Yeah, Blake. Fuck. Okay, Offspring Americana.
Brett, what do you got? What was yours?
So funny. Offspring, Ex Neon the Hombre.
Nice.
Oh, wow. And Jimmy?
That's so funny.
I believe mine was Metallica Remastered.
Like the Black Album?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, that's pretty good. And mine was Velvet Revolver Contraband.
Oh, that took me a while, but that
It's
was a good one.
Fucking
That was a great
solid
album.
album from a band that should have just stayed together. Okay, I don't know if I have anything for this, but weirdest fan interaction you've ever had?
Oh, you certainly do have something with this. Remember the Ailstorm concert, Rory?
That was not a fan of mine. That was someone else's fan.
Sort of was a fan of yours.
That doesn't count.
I don't know if
You don't have
you
one,
got
Chris?
something? I don't know if I
mean,
do.
I don't have anything crazy. I think the weirdest thing was when we got off stage one time, there was a girl and she was like, "You guys did really good," but she was not smiling. She was like angry looking, and she was talking to us like, "You guys did really good," and then like angry, and I was like, "Thanks."
I didn't want you to do real good.
I want weirder things. Trust me. I want something I can tell stories about, but not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have to have fans to have fan
Yeah,
interaction.
right.
True. Friends and family don't really count.
Yeah. Jimmy, do you have an interaction with a fan?
Not off the top of my head that's been super weird. It's mostly just been people congratulating me or saying I did a good job, or I haven't had any super weird interactions with anyone.
Okay, and what is the worst job you have ever had, Jimmy?
I was a pig farmer for a couple of years, and that was a
what?
shitty job. Yeah.
Oof,
Fuck, I didn't know that about you.
it was a shitty job.
Yeah. Brett?
Bellboy at a casino hotel.
Whoa. Bellboy.
Yeah. Full outfit and everything.
Oh man, there's got to be pictures of that somewhere.
I hope not.
That can be your outfit for the next show. Chris?
Call center agent for internet tech support in the States. Ugh.
Oh man. And I guess mine was I worked at McDonald's when I was a wee laddie. That was pretty shitty, but it was also kind of good at the same time. Like the people you meet were really, really cool and fun to hang around with. But man, the job sucked.
I worked at Dairy Queen for like most of it was my first job. I love that job. We just had a good time. Like it was shitty, but it also is like a good thing to go through. You appreciate
Yeah.
I
stuff
feel like the
after that.
Donald lineup is way more chaotic than the Dairy Queen lineup.
Oh, yeah,
Dairy
man.
Queen was pretty wild in
It was
Lethbridge.
summertime, maybe. Yeah, you guys.
The West End of Princess Street during the Edinburgh Festival, man, that line was out the door like all the time. It was horrid. Okay, favorite non-rock metal song, Chris.
It's hard.
Quick,
Rapid fire.
there's a Mark Knopfler in there. Probably Sailing to Philadelphia.
Aw,
Yeah,
that's a pretty song.
fucking love that song.
Brett.
Favorite non-rock metal song? That's not fair to throw on me. If it's not rock, if it's not metal, I guess punk would fall in there too. I can't choose punk.
Yeah,
I'll choose an Aurora song then. I like the Murder song from Aurora. It's one of my favorites.
Jimmy.
I'd probably have to say "Till It's Gone" by Yellow Wolf.
I'm not familiar. I'll have to check
never
that one
heard
out.
of a song or yeah, artist.
And mine right now would be, I'm really digging Sabrina Carpenter right now, man.
Hell yeah.
Man, I mean, Please, Please, Please is really, really good. But Espresso is just a fucking banger. It's so good.
Did you listen to a new one with Jenny Ortega?
No, I did not.
I also
Music
want to
video.
throw that I'm
Good.
hooked on an old song right now that I haven't listened to in it forever, and now I can't get out of my head. And it's Weird Al, My Bologna.
Oh,
Stop listening to it.
Oh yeah, you
okay.
were saying you were going through Weird Al with your daughter, eh?
Yeah,
So,
somebody good classics.
Everything You Know Is Wrong. That one's awesome. Sarah and I always karaoke that.
so that concludes the interview. What are the future plans for Victoria Lies?
Music! Lots of music! Lots of live
Shows.
Well, so currently
Shows.
we're working on piecing together our debut album. We're about to go back into the studio August 31st
August.
and September 1st to get a couple more tracks down for the album. I think that'll push us to about the 50% mark. We also have 3 shows remaining on the calendar for this year. We have September 27th at the Rec Room in Calgary, playing alongside Siren and
Tides of Charon.
Tides of Karen, who are celebrating their 10-year anniversary, I believe.
An EP release, I want to say.
And there's an EP release in there somewhere. We're also playing, October.
I'll pop it up. I think it's the 16th, maybe?
October 16th at the Rendezvous in Edmonton.
19th.
October 19th at the Rendezvous in Edmonton. And that is to celebrate Tammy of Queen Metal Radio's first year in radio by herself. So I'm really excited for that one because Tammy is amazing. Check out Queen Metal Radio. And November, when is the
23rd.
November date? 23rd?
23rd.
November 23rd with the Astral Prophets, which I am very, very excited for. And that, again, is in Edmonton at the Rendezvous.
So one at the Rendezvous.
2 at the Rendezvous.
Oh, that one's at the Rendezvous too. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So yeah, please check out our socials, follow us to keep up to date, and watch this space for new material. Peace.
Are we done? Or...